The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Epictetus. Here's a cold truth most men will never face. Talking too much is the fastest way to lose respect, attraction, and power. Weak men ramble to fill silence because they fear being ignored. Strong men, stoic men, know silence is a weapon. If you constantly explain yourself, justify your actions, or overshare your emotions, you're bleeding power every time you open your mouth. Mystery builds value. Silence builds tension. And in the world of attraction, tension is everything. The moment you become predictable, you become disposable. A man who can sit in silence, who can withhold, who can watch without reacting, that man becomes unforgettable. Here's a cold truth most men will never face. Talking too much is the fastest way to lose respect, attraction, and power. Weak men ramble to fill silence because they fear being ignored. Strong men, stoic men, know silence is a weapon. If you constantly explain yourself, justify your actions, or overshare your emotions, you're bleeding power every time you open your mouth. Mystery builds value. Silence builds tension. And in the world of attraction, tension is everything. The moment you become predictable, you become disposable. A man who can sit in silence, who can withhold, who can watch without reacting, that man becomes unforgettable. That man makes people feel something deeper than words, because what he doesn't say echoes louder than 1,000 speeches. Picture two men in a room. One is constantly talking, laughing at his own jokes, trying to impress everyone. The other stands quietly, composed, relaxed, saying little, observing more. Guess which one draws more eyes? The loud man entertains, but he's forgettable. The quiet one commands presence. You see, noise is cheap, but silence, that's expensive. That's why the military trains soldiers to be calm under pressure, not loud, not reactive, but centered. In a room full of noise, the one who says nothing often controls everything. Now look deeper. The loud man needs validation. Every word out of his mouth is a hook, a plea for attention. He's dancing for approval, begging to be noticed, liked, or accepted. And once people sense that need, they subconsciously value him less. The quiet man, however, withholds. He's not trying to be liked, he's simply being. That's what makes him powerful. People start wondering, who is he? Because he's not trying to prove it. The moment you stop chasing attention, it begins chasing you. Power comes to those who don't ask for it. Think about this in relationships. A man who talks too much on a date usually destroys the spark before it even starts. He thinks sharing everything will build connection, but what it builds is boredom. Women aren't attracted to men who lay all their cards on the table. They're drawn to men who are just out of reach, men they can't quite figure out. That uncertainty triggers curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. The Stoic man doesn't fake mystery, he lives it. He reveals nothing out of fear, only out of intent. Because he understands. When you own your silence, you own the room. And let's not confuse silence with weakness. Weak silence comes from insecurity. It's awkward, passive, and fearful. Powerful silence, on the other hand, is intentional. It's presence without performance. It's knowing you could speak but choosing not to. It's looking someone in the eye and letting them feel your stillness instead of your words. People feel this kind of energy even if they can't explain it. It shakes them, challenges them, and makes them lean in. Stoic silence doesn't push, it pulls. And that's why it's the ultimate attraction weapon. This is the ancient power of Stoic silence, a force Marcus Aurelius himself used to lead an empire. Stoicism teaches us to master the only thing we ever truly own, our response. That includes silence as a form of restraint, self-possession, and presence. A man who speaks only when necessary, who holds his thoughts like sharpened steel, becomes magnetic. He doesn't react to every slight, every test, every emotion. He waits, he watches, and when he speaks, it cuts through noise like a blade through butter. This isn't emotional suppression, it's emotional dominance. When Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, he wasn't preaching, he was reminding himself how to stay unshaken in a chaotic world. He ruled an empire while fighting wars, dealing with betrayals, and enduring immense pressure, and yet his mind remained still. That stillness didn't come from external control, it came from internal silence. A Stoic doesn't silence the world. He silences himself, and in doing so, he rules the world. The man who can observe without reacting is the one who sees the full battlefield. He's not pulled by temptation, insults, or praise. His stillness becomes a mirror, and in that mirror, others see their own chaos. That's why women are drawn to men who seem mysterious, because mystery is just mastery over one's emotions. And emotional mastery, that's what makes you a man they remember long after you've left the room. You don't have to be rich, tall, or famous to have this kind of power. You just need to stop needing to be seen. A man obsessed with being understood will always over-explain himself to death. But a Stoic, he speaks with weight because his words aren't cheap. He lets others feel the absence of his voice and the strength of his presence. He's comfortable with people not knowing what he's thinking. That comfort, that silence, shakes the room. It's the look that says, I know something you don't. That is magnetic. And that is why silence paired with self-awareness is the ultimate form of dominance. Even in confrontation, the Stoic man holds his tongue, not out of fear, but out of strategy. Every reactive word you say can and will be used against you. Stoics understand that silence isn't passive, it's tactical. It's the gap between emotion and explosion. That moment of stillness gives you clarity, and clarity gives you control. The man who reacts is a slave to his emotions. The man who pauses becomes a master over outcomes. And when he does speak, it's calculated, measured like a blade, not sprayed like bullets. His calm becomes terrifying because it means he's already decided something you haven't. So how does this apply to attraction? Women instinctively test for emotional strength, not to hurt you, but to feel you. And when she throws attitude, plays games, or tries to pull a reaction, your silence is your fortress. She may say she wants communication, but what she craves is composure. She's not watching what you say. She's watching how you say it, when you say it, and why. Every word is either building your frame or breaking it. If your mouth is faster than your mind, she'll know you're weak. But if your eyes are calm and your voice is steady, she'll feel your power without you needing to say a damn thing. That's the secret. Most men can't handle the discomfort of being misunderstood. They talk because silence makes them feel exposed, anxious, or out of control. They try to explain, overshare, prove themselves, and in doing so, they become weak. They give away their power to be liked or validated. But silence demands you trust your own worth without needing applause. That's terrifying for a man who's never sat alone with his thoughts. Society tells you to open up, but ancient wisdom says, know when to shut the hell up. Without discipline, your mouth becomes a liability, and every time you react, you prove you can be controlled. Most men live in fear of being misunderstood, so they cling to their words like a drowning man clings to air. But the truth is, if you constantly need to explain yourself, you've already lost. You're handing people a map to your emotions. You're showing your cards while begging to be accepted. Weak men talk because silence reveals what they haven't mastered inside. They want to be liked, so they overcompensate. They want to feel in control, so they talk more, louder, faster. But control isn't noise, it's precision. The Stoic understands that not reacting is sometimes the loudest message you can send. Silence makes the world lean in. Words make the world tune out. Here's the hard pill. Most of your talking is just insecurity with a microphone. Think about it. How often do you speak just to avoid discomfort? How many times have you texted or something just to get a response? That's not communication, that's validation seeking. Stoicism says, if your words don't come from clarity, they're coming from weakness. You talk when you're nervous. You vent when you're scared. You joke when you're uncertain. And you wonder why women lose respect for you. It's because you've turned your voice into a safety blanket while she's looking for a shield. It's not just in dating, it's everywhere. At work, you over-explain your decisions. With friends, you overshare to feel important. On social media, you rant to feel heard. And every time you do, you lower your value. A high-value man knows his thoughts are precious. He doesn't just throw them away for anyone to see, he speaks with intention, and when he does, it's felt. This discipline doesn't make him cold, it makes him dangerous. Because when he finally does speak, people listen. That's what real influence looks like. So why do most men fail at this? Because silence demands self-trust, and self-trust requires solitude, reflection, and discipline. It forces you to deal with your own demons without distracting others. With your noise, most men aren't ready for that battle. They're still chasing approval, still afraid of rejection, still looking for permission to be who they are. But the Stoic gives himself permission. He doesn't beg to be heard. He chooses when to speak, how to speak, and who's worthy of his voice. And because of that, he's not just another man. He becomes a force. In dating, silence is magnetic. Women are naturally drawn to men who don't reveal everything. If she's asking questions, trying to figure you out, you're winning. If she knows your life story after 20 minutes, you're done. A Stoic man lets his energy speak louder than his words. He gives space for mystery to grow. He pauses before speaking, lets her fill the silence, and never chases with words. Even when emotions run high, he keeps calm, watching like a wolf in the fog. This doesn't make you cold. It makes you powerful. Attraction isn't built on what you say. It's built on what you withhold. Women are emotional detectives. They don't want you to hand them the answers. They want to uncover you, decode you, earn access to your inner world. Every time you reveal too much too soon, you rob her of the adventure. Silence creates contrast in a world full of noise. When she asks, "What are you thinking?" and you just smirk or give a subtle, controlled answer, it drives curiosity. The goal isn't to be a stone, it's to be a riddle. She'll talk more just to get more from you, and in doing so, she invests emotionally. Most guys dump their thoughts out like a leaky faucet, but the Stoic man, he speaks like every word is gold, and women listen when gold is being spoken. Mystery makes her imagination do the heavy lifting, and trust me, her imagination is far more seductive than any story you could tell. When you keep details to yourself, when you let moments breathe, you force her to stay engaged. Think of James Bond. You never hear him ramble or explain. He lets the world come to him. You don't need cheesy pickup lines or long speeches. You need stillness, eye contact, a calm tone, and intentional words. She'll lean in, subconsciously, feeling your value, not because you said it, but because your silence said you don't need to. And that right there separates the kings from the clowns. Let's talk tests, because they're coming whether you like it or not. Women will throw subtle emotional challenges at you to feel your core. If you react instantly, if you get defensive, loud or overly eager, you fail. But when you pause, when you smile, when you look at her with unbothered calmness, she feels something primal. She feels the presence of a man who's not emotionally swayed, a man who cannot be manipulated. And that calmness makes her feel safe and aroused at the same time. It's not about playing games, it's about revealing your value through control. You don't need to pass every test with words. Sometimes silence is the ultimate answer. Attraction isn't logical, it's emotional. and emotion is stirred by energy, not explanations. Your silent presence tells her, I am not here to win you over. I am here because I am already enough. That message is more attractive than any story, joke, or compliment. Let her earn access to your inner thoughts. Let her ask, what's going on in that head of yours? And don't give it all away. Leave her wondering, leave her curious, leave her invested. That's how the Stoic man draws her in without ever lifting a finger. Here's how to weaponize silence in your life, starting now. First, stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned the right to know you. Second, when you're in conversation, pause, hold eye contact, and wait 3 seconds before answering. Third, practice saying less than necessary. Fourth, when emotions rise, train yourself to go inward, not outward. Journal, breathe, observe. Fifth, avoid social media venting. It kills your mystique. Sixth, respond to provocation with calm or silence. It confuses and disarms the weak. Seventh, don't try to fill awkward silences in dates. Enjoy them. Eighth, listen more than you speak. It trains control. Ninth, create space between thought and speech. It builds intention. 10th, remind yourself daily, silence is strength, not weakness. Here's what no one tells you. Silence requires preparation. If you don't understand your own thoughts, you'll panic in stillness. So start by journaling daily. Write down your emotions and observe them without judgment. The more clarity you have inside, the less noise you need outside. Practice saying nothing during heated conversations. It'll feel like war in your chest, but that's where mastery is born. Learn to sit in social tension without scrambling to fix it. Let people feel the weight of your silence. That weight creates respect, and respect breeds attraction, trust, and leadership. Another key practice, meditation. Not for spiritual fluff, but for mental domination. 10 minutes of breathwork a day will give you the power to pause while everyone else reacts. In conversation, stop trying to impress, start observing. Let the other person speak more, ask questions, then really listen. You'll notice how most people just want to be heard. By mastering silence, you become a mirror, and people are drawn to those who reflect them. That's social power without trying to be powerful. Control your digital presence too. Every post, every comment, every message is either reinforcing your mystique or destroying it. If you're always online, always venting, always posting emotional reactions, you're bleeding power. Stoic men don't broadcast their every thought. They move quietly, deliberately with presence. When you do speak online, make it count, make it rare, make it sharp. And when you go quiet, let the world wonder what you're building. That silence breeds curiosity. Curiosity leads to influence. And finally, treat every interaction like a test of your inner strength. When someone interrupts you, pause. When someone provokes you, smile. When a woman pulls away, stay grounded. The less you react, the more attractive and powerful you become. People feel safe around calm energy, but more than that, they respect it. Start practicing this today. Not tomorrow, today. Because every moment you stay silent when you could have reacted, you're forging the discipline that turns men into legends. Now I'm talking directly to you. I dare you to go one full day without explaining yourself to anyone. Don't justify, don't overshare, don't try to impress, just be. Let people wonder, let your silence speak for you. When someone questions you, pause, breathe, and speak only what's essential. You'll feel the urge to fill the space. Resist it. You'll realize how often you talk out of insecurity. Drop a comment below after you do this. Tell me what changed. I promise you, this challenge alone can shift your entire presence. Here's what's going to happen when you do this. Some people will feel uncomfortable. Some will try to pull answers out of you. They'll ask, why are you so quiet, or is something wrong? That's when you win. That's when you realize how rare inner control is. Because the world is built on noise, distractions, and emotional leakage. When you choose silence, you become a mirror, and people start seeing themselves in your stillness. Your power becomes undeniable. You don't need to yell when your presence alone makes people sit up straighter. Think about the most powerful men in history. Did they explain themselves? Did they chase validation? No, they moved with certainty. Men like Marcus Aurelius, Miyamoto Musashi, and even modern leaders of real substance speak when it matters, and not before. Mystery is not weakness, it's armor. The more people have to guess, the more they respect. The more they know, the more they judge. When you reveal nothing, they project everything. That's how legends are built, not by speaking, but by withholding. This isn't about being emotionless. It's about emotional mastery. The world doesn't need another loud, needy man trying to prove himself. It needs men of quiet strength, men who feel deeply but don't break, men who are dangerous but disciplined, men who walk in silence and move like thunder when the time comes. You can become that man, but it starts with this small act. Say less, observe more, and let the mystery of your presence speak louder than your words ever could. If you're ready to become him, then leave a comment. Let the world hear your silence. Remember, a lion doesn't roar to prove it's a lion. It walks in silence, and everything around it reacts. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is power. In a dating game filled with clowns, your mystery makes you a king. The Stoic man doesn't chase approval, he cultivates presence. Speak less. Watch more. Let your energy lead the room before your voice ever enters it. This is the way of the ancient warrior. This is how the modern man wins. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're ready to live this truth, not just understand it. Your silence starts now.